mustachioed and mutton-chopped man, amateurishly depicted, gazes at you with sad eyes. A plaque reads, K. Mazov. There is a spiderweb in the lower left corner of the portrait. Years' worth of dust is shaken off. The full head of hair, matched by an ample moustache and sideburns, look a bit silly. Someone crouches, heels digging into wet sand. Hands sweep across the sand, grains sticking to the frayed skin of the fingertips. An old man sits on a slab of concrete and taps his fingers against the glass of a scope. You shudder.
Yes, I can see that. Looks like some communists were hiding out here. They left a long time ago. Half a century? This was probably part of the network of defense posts the communards built against the amphibious landing. I think the purpose of this bunker was to produce propaganda. It would have had radio equipment back then, but that's all been looted. We have found a lot of those lately. I guess what most people think of as history tends to linger in rundown neighborhoods. Martinez being what it is, no one has gone through the trouble of cleaning out the old bunkers. Millions of depictions of Mazov have been produced. They're not all connected. Besides, that looked like some student. The youths always go for this kind of stuff. You mean like Ruby? No, I think we've stumbled on a piece of history.
Again, like a swarm of hornets buzzing under your scalp, a strange tingling you can almost smell.
No, what do you mean? I don't feel it, but we should still be careful. There were footprints back there, and I'm pretty sure they were fresh. Possibly. If she's in here, we need to plan our next step carefully. Once we detain a credible suspect, who knows what the Union and the Wild Pines will do? We'll set in motion events we have no control over.
You will upset the balance of power in Martinez. The deadlock between the company and the Union will destabilize. This part of town is a fine clockwork puzzle. Disturb its peace and it will start breaking down uncontrollably. Keep calm. Go over the whole situation in detail.
I leave that to your judgment. You already know what I think about cross-pollinating information like this. It's dangerous, but...
He just can't be sure. Maybe it will yield something useful.
Yes, there won't be time for that once things go down. Matter of fact, I don't think there's time for it now, but...
If you must.
Well, we are not responsible for what we can't predict, are we? I don't think the entire city will be razed to the ground.
If you can't predict it, there's nothing you could have done.
I think I see a cavern. Maybe more cellars? I think we've been careful enough. We still have the element of surprise.
I wouldn't be so sure. You haven't exactly been sneaking.
Or maybe not. Either way, once we go deeper, there will be no turning back.
Suddenly, your entire body is paralyzed. Aggressive white noise fills your skull. A strange pain, like you've never felt before. Through the static, you hear a woman's voice. It's like 1,000 radio stations are being blasted into your head all at once. But her words are the only ones you can make out.
I know you're feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. Don't move too much or fight it. That'll just make it worse. Can't say it's a pleasure, officer. I was really hoping not to make your acquaintance. But here we are.
As she says the word officer, you feel a spike in the agony. It sounds like the entire radio frequency range is screaming directly into your neural pathways. That's an awful decision. Why would you not want to shield yourself from it? It's an entirely new type of experience. Way worse than all the previous ones. Don't focus on the pain. Focus on doing your job. Tell her she's under arrest.
I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
The explosion of static you're hearing. It's the ULAN frequency.
Saw my equations? You've been sniffing through my lorry, right? I expected as much. I am a bit surprised you knew what you were looking at. A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pale more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the pale, literally crunch the distance across it. Signals are relayed across a series of repeater stations fixed to buoys. Not a fun job manning those stations. All alone out there in the pale, people lose their minds in just a few years.
So, what we are experiencing is a concentration of radio waves.
Precisely. This is an industrial strength paraboloid. It's meant for forcing dimensions on something that doesn't have them. Needless to say, the frequencies used are out of this world. At the upper limit is the large prime number generator station. It's used specifically for pale latitude compression. That's why you may be hearing some numbers. But you might also hear, or think you're hearing, local radio chatter.
This must be how the twins heard the radio in their heads. They must have been standing by when she tested it. She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her talking, and you just might get an opportunity to break loose.
I built it myself.
And she's proud of it too, as she ought to be. This is way beyond your abilities.
That's illegal. I'm guessing it's patented. But we are beyond that, aren't we?
Oh yeah, way beyond. Yeah, I stuck my head in there before using it on you. It seemed like the ethical thing to do. Can't say that I enjoyed it. The field was weaker, but I can imagine what you're going through. The Pale? It's the end of the world. No. Once I shut down the compressor, the pain will end. It may take a few minutes for you to steady yourself, though. It's a bit like waking out of a very confusing dream.
Omettini villes. Tudrum.
4, 4, 5, 4, 4, 8, 2. Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it. If you've got something really important to say, you can do it through the white noise.
You're looking for a deal with my mattress. Speed and timber.
Turn this.
God damn it. Fine. If you really want to talk, I can dial it down. I've also got a gun, by the way.
The gun she's carrying is a 2-barreled front loader, not like the murder weapon. Well, it doesn't feel much better, but she can form sentences now. Thinking doesn't seem to hurt as much. Just keep her talking, and you'll get through this. Did it. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but...
All good, officer. Be careful.
She looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it. Problem solving.
Ma'am, put the gun down. That's not the solution to your problems. You are...
Oh, yes it is.
words to say. You've been here yourself, so why is it not coming to you? Because you've been going around pointing a gun at yourself, trying to answer the same question in vain. Her finger squeezes the trigger now. A smirk crosses her face as she watches you stand there, mute. Then she exhales sharply, shakes her head, and pulls the trigger. You watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
Our job. It went really bad, and now we need to clean it up.
She died. How can you be so cold?
Fuck!
Get a hold of yourself. He needs your support now too.
Lieutenant Yefreitor Dubois, control your emotions. We did our job. This won't be the worst thing that happens on this case, believe me. You can't let this break you.
There is no coming back from this one. It will stay with you in nightmares.
We clean up. It may take days for processing to pick up her body. We need to move it somewhere. That tent there.
Plain red tent stands by dispassionately. You see a rolled-up sleeping bag and personal belongings.
We should put her in the sleeping bag, so the rats don't get to her.
The lieutenant nods. There she lies, cocooned in the sleeping bag, surrounded by empty cigarette packs, books, and half-read magazines. Magazines? You should look through them. Assorted soft covers, mostly pulp horror. A motor carriage lies buried in the snow on one cover. On another, a ghost airship. You also see a collection of radio enthusiast magazines.
See anything?
Rager Monthly, Journal of Material Science. More Technological Digest. One of the magazines doesn't have images on the cover. It's not a magazine, it's a leather notebook. You pocket the worn brown leather journal. She watches by, motionless.
We should read this immediately, like right now.
Thick journal. The cover is worn like someone used to carry it around in their back pocket. It's made of full-grain leather. The lower left corner of the back cover sports an embossed brand name, Schneller. This was important to her when it was still hers. The journal falls open. About 2/3 of its ruled pages have been filled. The large cursive of someone who writes quickly and confidently. perhaps too confidently. Many phrases and even paragraphs have been crossed out, with tiny corrections scrawled above and in the margins. It's a mix of logistical notes, diagrams, and personal reflections, all dated.
We could learn a lot from this.
Hard to tell exactly. It's mostly noted down in code. Looks like contact information, quantities, directions.
There could be useful information about local operations in those notes. We have a junior sergeant at my station who's good with codes. I can give this to her after we finish this.
Professionalism is his coping mechanism. Esoteric radio technology. The most recent ones probably pertain to the latitude compressor, sketches, calculations of distance and density. You make out a familiar spiral shape. Short, wry observations of people and places. Probably a way to pass the time on the road. Also, what appears to be attempts to sort through some difficult decisions. There are a few passages with many questions in them. Staff issues. Always tough on the leadership. You smell traces of betrayal. The first entry is from August 2nd of last year. It reads simply, I know my position is precarious. All I can do is make myself as useful as I can while looking for a way out. Remember, no one is indispensable. Nothing on March 4th. March 5th, though, well, that's bound to come back and bite me in the ass. I'm bad at this. Loyal to a fault. But that's another matter entirely. You have no idea what she means. These are personal notes. Don't expect to understand all of it. The most recent entry is from today. It reads, even when I leave here, if I leave here alive, what's my next move? Staging a lynching is a crime, even if I'm not accused of murder on top of that. Forever on the run. Not really my idea of the open road. Man, I was really looking forward to winning.
I don't think she killed the mercenary. It looks like she might have been framed. Too bad we didn't really get to hear her side of the story.
This whole thing was a detour, and a fatal one, he thinks. Don't get emotional.
By the Hardy Boys, by Classier, by us. Could have been Titus. Then again... Either way, we need to keep an eye on him. Somewhere along the way, we might have been fed a lie or two. One thing is for certain. We have business back in the whirling in rags. Questions to ask. We should get to it.
The plain red text. Tell her she's under arrest.
I'm using a pale latitude compressor. You and your partner have been caught in its field.
The explosion of static you're hearing. It's the ULAN frequency.
Saw my equations? You've been sniffing through my lorry, right? I expected as much. I am a bit surprised you knew what you were looking at. A pale latitude compressor is used to sort of make the pale more manageable. With a lot of these, you can force a radio signal grid on the signals are relayed across a series of
So, what we are experiencing is...
Precisely. This is at the upper limit is the large
This must be how the twins heard. She's been holed up in here for a while with no one to talk to. Keep her to...
The pale? It's the end of the world. I built it myself.
And she's proud of it too.
That's illegal!
Oh yeah. Way beyond. No. Yeah, I stuck my head in the pale. It's the... Yeah, let's not talk about that shit. You were hunting me and fell into my trap instead. That's all there is to say about it. If you've got something... God damn it. Fine.
The gun she's carrying, well, it does. Just keep her talking, and you'll get through this.
I heard you in the passages, and I've been preparing for quite a while. So you found my shack, huh? I'm not surprised.
Her tone is bitter. She thinks she's been betrayed.
So nice. That's one knife I didn't want to find in my back. This could have turned out pretty bad for me if you hadn't walked right into 25 bands of ultra-high frequencies. No, I didn't do it. I only helped stage the lynching, though I doubt that makes much of a difference to you. Who ratted me out, by the way? Was it Titus? No, he wouldn't have broken first. Nah, she didn't crack. She's a survivor. If she told you anything, it was to save herself. But she couldn't have known I was on the coast. How did you find me? Oh, fuck. Took some convincing my ass. Those guys liked me, I know it. This is what happens to people whom people like.
A dull despair is creeping into her voice.
How the fuck do the rest of you get by? I did, didn't I? Now you've come for me. Fuck them all the same.
That did make her forgive them a little.
Like what? I already told you I didn't do it. I didn't like him. Hardened mercenaries aren't particularly likable types. Yeah, sure. And I didn't like Wild Pines sending in those foreign hirelings. Me and a fuck ton of other people around here.
She didn't hate it, okay?
I'm listening. Man, I was with the boys the whole night. I hope they at least bothered to impress that upon you. You mean the length of a toilet break? That wouldn't even have been enough time. Wow, now I'm curious. Please, explain. Don't know it, but also, the shot couldn't have come from the roof, or we would have all heard it downstairs.
She has a point there. No one mentioned.
That didn't go super well. You've got to lay something better on her.
Who doesn't? Oh, you probably mean Clausia's rooftop. Sure, I've hung out there. She's got this great antenna. It's very powerful. I used it to tune into RCM frequencies. That's how I knew to be prepared for your arrival. The view's pretty bomb too. But you might say the antenna was the main attraction there, yeah. Along with Clausia. Yes, I'm sure. And anyway, as I said before, the shot had to have come from afar. And the gun store, Trigger Happy Jacks. What did you think? That I'm going to squeal in my gun supplier? Sorry, I'm not that kind of gal. A Noctway 80 front loader. 2-barreled. Not really what you were looking for, I'm guessing.
That isn't it.
No, they're not practical. Break too often. Yeah, evidence. Yeah? Where?
More questions before doing anything. She eyes you warily, as though gauging your sincerity.
It's okay. We just want to...
All right, don't kill yourself over it. I was shooting the shit with Hardy and the boys over a few beers, like always. Then Clausia comes in, all pale and shuddering. She sits down with a drink, trying to steady her nerves. So I grab a seat next to her. She asked me to come upstairs. The merc she'd been going with was lying on the bedroom floor, dead. I knew she couldn't get the authorities involved, so yeah.
You made it look like he'd been hanged.
What? No. Faking a lynching was her idea.
She looks shaken. She wasn't surprised to be ratted out, but framed.
Yeah, in cold blood. It really surprised me how quickly she was able to get a hold of herself once we got up there. It was like she was another person. The party girl was gone. She asked me to help her drag him into the shower so she could wind the shower head around his neck to fake lividity. Then she dressed him while I went to get the Hardy boys.
Clausia knew exactly what she was doing. You can't remain calm under pressure otherwise.
Yeah, I wasn't sure whether to admire her or be disturbed. As I keep telling you cops, we didn't hear anything downstairs. No gunshot, nothing.
But even if this is true, weren't you worried this lynching might lead to...
War? The thought crossed my mind. But the mercenary's death was going to have repercussions either way. Although the way things are going...
She doesn't want to talk about this. but not because she has something to hide. She doesn't want the guilt.
Fuck it. I'm not responsible for these people after what they did to me.
Her grip on the gun is tight, her arms toned, her posture solid. Martinez lost a valuable defender.
How should I know? As I keep saying, he already had a bullet in his head when I got to him, and there hasn't been any useful gossip over the radio.
Those rings around her eyes, her tired voice. She's been staying up late, listening in on the conversations crisscrossing Martinez.
Police radio? You've been following the case?
Who hasn't? You know, I can still see him there, in Claus's room, lying on his side. He was still warm, but the bluish light coming through the broken window made him look as though he'd been dead for a good long while. I saw you roll into town. I wasn't about to stick around for questioning by a goddamn La Puta Madre agent.
That strange, distant fear is getting close now. It's a fear of yourself.
Yes, you. Everyone says you're his peon, his human can opener.
Through the sudden sharp pain in your head, you hear the lieutenant mumble something to himself. Fucking hell. And why me? You hear through the white noise. It's especially bad suddenly. Felt like a vein exploded.
Everyone in Jamrock, the cops, the criminals. Why do you think I'm holed up in here with a goddamn death ray waiting for you?
If she knows that about you, she must know your real name too.
Harry Dubois. One corrupt motherfucker with the disco pants and a funny tie. Agent to La Puta Madre.
So she knows your name. That doesn't mean you're on the tape. Criminals make up bogeyman stories about cops all the time. All of this just means that you're effective. Criminals know you and are scared of you. I don't know. Sounds pretty convincing to me.
Is that a joke or a threat? I'm guessing both. Yeah, sure.
She doesn't believe you.
I'm sure La Puta Madre himself will explain it all to you soon enough. You know what I did. I fucked him over. And now I have Harry Can Opener in my lair. Fucking Titus.
She's not going to change her mind that easily. She still perceives you as a threat.
What bunker? Don't know anything about it. No one's been around since I set up camp. But I'm sure I'm not the first vagabond to...
Did it. The compressor lies broken on its side. It's quiet in your head again. It still hurts like hell, but... She looks at the machine, assessing the damage. Her hand trembles.
Oh, fuck it. problem solving.
Ma'am, put the gun down. That's not the solution to your problems. You are...
Oh, yes it is.
You should know the words to say. You've been here yourself. So why is it not coming to you? Because you've been going around pointing a gun at yourself, trying to answer the same question in vain. Her finger squeezes the trigger now. A smirk crosses her face as she watches you. You watch as her brains trickle out through her neon hair.
Lieutenant Yefreitor Dubois, control your emotions. We did our job.
There is no coming back from this one. It will stay with you in nightmares.
We clean up. That tent there.